The night was cold. The stars were silent above the colony walls. In the shadows near the forest, a figure moved slowly. She was tall, thin, and her skin had a pale glow that no human carried. She was not from this world. She was an alien widow. Her steps were weak, her breath heavy. She had not eaten for many days. Her home was gone, her people scattered. Her husband had died in the war that burned her city. Now she was alone, hiding near human land, afraid to be seen, afraid to be hunted. Humans feared her kind. They called them enemies. They said aliens could not be trusted. She knew this was true in some ways. Because her people also feared humans, they said humans were violent, dangerous, unkind, but she had no choice. Hunger was stronger than fear. She moved closer to the wall of the colony. The smell of food drifted on the wind. Roasted grain, cooked meat. The smell made her stomach twist in pain. She pressed her hand to her belly. She had survived battles, fire, and loss, but hunger was worse than all. She found a broken shed at the edge of the colony, half wood, half stone. The place was empty. Abandoned, she crawled inside and hid there. The roof had holes, the floor was dusty, but it gave her cover from eyes. She could wait there. She could watch. Nights passed slowly. She listened to laughter inside the colony. She heard children playing, men shouting, women cooking. Every sound felt like a wound. She wanted to join, but she could not. If humans saw her, they would raise alarms. Soldiers would come and she would die. One evening, she was too weak to move. Her head rested against the cold wall, her eyes half closed. Then she heard light footsteps, soft and careful. A child's footsteps. She opened her eyes slowly. At the broken door, a small human girl stood. Her hair messy, her clothes simple. She held a small piece of bread in her hand. The girl looked at the alien widow, her eyes wide with fear, but also with something else. Not hatred, but curiosity. The widow's throat was dry. She wanted to speak, but no words came. Her mouth moved, but no sound. The girl stepped closer. She raised the bread slowly. Her hand shaking, the widow pulled back, afraid it was a trick, afraid someone was watching. But the smell of the bread broke her will. Her stomach growled loudly. The girl gasped at the sound, then giggled softly, as if hunger was funny. The widow reached out her long, thin fingers. She took the bread gently as if it was treasure. She placed it near her mouth, but still she waited, her eyes on the girl, testing, wondering why this child would bring her food. The girl whispered, her voice soft, "You are hungry." The widow's eyes filled with tears. Yes, she was hungry, more hungry than words could carry. She ate the bread slowly, every bite painful but full of life. She swallowed and closed her eyes. A tear slid down her cheek. The girl smiled. She looked at the alien widow not as a monster, but as a person. Then she whispered again, "Don't tell anyone, I will bring more." Before the widow could answer, the girl ran away, her small feet carrying her quickly back into the colony. The night swallowed her shape. The widow was left alone with only the taste of bread and the echo of kindness. That night the widow could not sleep. Her body felt stronger, her heart confused. Why would a human child risk trouble to help her? She was the enemy. She was the shadow, yet that girl had looked at her with trust. Next evening the girl came again. This time she brought a cup of water and a small apple. She placed them near the door, her eyes shining in the dark. The widow watched her, too weak to speak, too tired to question. She drank, she ate. The girl whispered again, "My dad works hard. He does not know. I just want to help you." The widow wanted to answer, but fear closed her lips. Still she raised her hand slowly. She touched her chest and then touched her forehead. It was her people's sign of thanks. The girl smiled wider. She copied the gesture, though clumsy. The widow felt her heart twist. In all the war, in all the death. She had not expected this, not from humans, not from a child, but danger was near. She knew if soldiers found her, they would kill her. She knew if the girl's father discovered the missing food, he would be angry. Suspicion would rise. She pulled her cloak tighter. She whispered to herself, "One night, maybe tomorrow, I must leave." But her eyes looked at the small apple core in her hand, and she felt something she had not felt in many seasons. Hope. The night stretched long. The colony lights glowed warm in the distance. The widow remained hidden in the broken shed, her heart no longer cold, her fate no longer sealed, because one small girl had chosen kindness over fear, and that choice was about to change everything. The nights kept passing. The alien widow stayed, hidden inside the broken shed, her body weak but a little stronger with each piece of bread, each cup of water, each apple the child secretly brought. The human girl always came alone, her steps light like a whisper, her eyes shining with courage. She never spoke loudly. She only whispered as if the shadows were listening. She was too young to understand war, too innocent to feel hate, but old enough to feel compassion. The widow started waiting for her every evening. She counted the hours until the little footsteps came when the girl appeared at the door. The shed no longer felt like a prison. It felt like hope. One night the girl brought a small blanket, patched and worn. She pushed it into the widow's hands, whispering, "It gets cold here." The widow touched the cloth gently, her hands trembling. She wanted to ask the child why she risked so much, but she still feared to speak. The girl smiled and said, "You look like you need someone. My father says widows are lonely. Are you lonely?" The words struck like a blade. The widow's heart ached. Yes, she was lonely, lonelier than she had ever been. But she only lowered her eyes and nodded. The girl giggled. She twirled her hair between her fingers and whispered, "Don't worry. I will be your friend. But you must not tell anyone, promise." The widow lifted her hand and made the sign of promise from her people. The girl copied clumsily, and both smiled in silence. But secrets grow heavy. The girl's father soon noticed the missing bread, the missing apples, the small blanket from the cupboard, his eyes sharp, his tone serious. "Where are you taking this food?" he asked. The girl froze, her heart raced. She whispered, "I eat them when I play outside." But her father was not fooled. He was a man who worked long hours in the colony. He had no time for lies, yet he looked into his daughter's innocent eyes and sighed. He let her go, but doubt was planted in his mind. The girl continued to bring food, continued to protect her secret. She even took a small wooden toy and placed it near the widow, whispering, "I don't play with it anymore, maybe you can." The widow stared at the toy, confused but touched. She held it in her hands like it was gold. But danger was growing. One evening, soldiers patrolled near the shed. The widow froze, holding her breath. The girl almost stepped inside with bread in her hand, but she stopped. When she saw the soldiers, her heart pounded. She dropped the bread behind a rock and walked away, pretending to pick flowers. The widow waited until the soldiers passed, then crawled out and picked the bread, her hands shaking. She whispered to herself, "This child is braver than most warriors." The girl's secret became heavier each day. She loved helping, but she also feared her father's anger. One night she whispered to the widow, "If he finds out, he will be so mad. Maybe he will punish me, but I don't care. You need me." The widow's eyes softened. She wanted to say, "Go, be safe, leave me." But her heart could not push the child away, because without the girl, she would starve. Without the girl, she would die one evening. As the girl sneaked out again, her father followed quietly, suspicion burning in his chest. He saw his daughter walking toward the broken shed, carrying a small basket of food. His eyes widened, his fists clenched. He walked faster. The girl slipped inside the shed, smiling as she offered bread and fruit to the widow. But then she heard footsteps, heavy, strong. Her father stood at the door, his face pale, his eyes burning with shock and anger. The widow froze, the bread in her hands. Her eyes locked on the man. This was the moment she feared, discovery. Her heart beat fast, her muscles tense. The girl turned quickly, her face pale. "Daddy, please," she whispered. "She is not bad. She is only hungry. Don't hurt her." The father's eyes moved between his daughter and the alien widow. He saw the tall, thin figure, the glowing, pale skin, the signs of weakness and hunger. He also saw the fear in his daughter's eyes and the trust she carried. He raised his voice, low but sharp. "You don't know what she is. She is the enemy." The girl shook her head, her small hands gripping his arm. "No, Daddy, she is alone. She is like us. She lost her family, I know it. The widow lowered her head. She did not speak, but her tears fell silently. The father saw them. He saw her trembling hands clutching the bread like it was life. The silence grew heavy. The father's heart twisted. He wanted to pull his daughter away, but he could not ignore what he saw. An alien, yes, but not a monster. Only a widow. Only hungry. The girl whispered again, her voice shaking but strong. "Please, Daddy, don't tell anyone. Promise me, please." The father's jaw tightened, his eyes still hard, but he could not break his daughter's heart. He turned slowly and said, "We will talk about this, at home." Then he looked once more at the widow, his voice low. "You have one chance, don't betray us." He took his daughter's hand and walked away. The girl looked back with tears in her eyes. The widow stayed in the shadows, clutching the bread, her heart heavy with fear, but also with something strange. Hope had not died yet. The father walked, home with his daughter, the night air heavy. His heart pounding with anger and confusion, he could not believe what he had seen. His little girl feeding an alien widow, the same kind who once fought against humans, the same kind who caused death and loss. Inside their small house, the father closed the door hard. His daughter stood silent, her small hands shaking. She looked at him with wide eyes, waiting for punishment, waiting for his words. The father's voice was rough. "Do you understand what you have done? If the colony finds out, they will call us traitors. They will take everything. They might even throw us out," the girl whispered softly. "But she is not bad. She is hungry. She is sad. She is lonely." The father clenched his fists. His anger burned, but the image of the alien widow's trembling hands holding bread, her tears falling, her weak body, it did not leave his mind. He wanted to hate. But something inside him hesitated. He sat, down heavily on the wooden chair, his face buried in his hands. He remembered the war. He remembered his wife's death. He remembered how humans blamed aliens for everything. But now he saw an alien widow who looked more broken than any soldier. His daughter stepped closer, her small voice trembling. "Daddy, you always told me we should help those who suffer. You said kindness makes us strong. Was that a lie?" The father raised his head, his eyes meeting hers. Her words cut deep. She was right. He had taught her those lessons, but he never imagined she would use them on an enemy. The next day, the father could not stop thinking. At work, he hammered wood and carried heavy loads, but in every sound he heard the echo of that widow's silence. In every shadow he saw her pale figure. That night he followed his daughter again. But this time, he did not stop her. He watched quietly as she gave food and water. He saw how the alien bowed her head, how she made strange hand signs to say thanks, how she never threatened, never harmed. When the girl returned home, he stayed outside, hidden in the dark. He stepped slowly to the broken shed. The widow sat inside, her eyes closed, whispering in her alien tongue, perhaps praying, perhaps remembering. The father stepped forward. The wooden floor creaked. The widow opened her eyes and froze. Fear filled her face. He spoke low, his voice hard but controlled. "Why are you here? What do you want?" The widow did not answer at first. Her lips trembled. Then in broken human words she whispered, "I want to live." Those words struck the father like a hammer. Not war, not revenge, only to live. He saw the truth in her eyes, but his heart still battled. Memories of the war screamed inside him. Friends lost, wife gone, anger burning. He stepped closer and said, "Your people killed mine. Why should I trust you?" The widow lowered her head. Her tears fell on the dusty floor. She whispered, "I lost too. Husband dead, home gone, no one left, only me." The father stood silent. He felt the weight of her words. He could not deny them. Loss was something he knew too well. Suddenly footsteps echoed behind him. Soldiers patrolling again. The father grabbed the widow's arm and pulled her deeper into the shed. Both hid in the shadows as torches passed by. The widow looked at him in shock. He had protected her. After the soldiers left, the father released her arm quickly, anger at himself, boiling. "Don't mistake this, I only did it for my daughter." The widow nodded, her eyes soft. She whispered, "Child, Kind. The father turned to leave, but his daughter appeared at the door, her eyes wide with fear. Daddy, are you angry? Did you hurt her? The father looked at his little girl, her small face full of worry. He shook his head slowly. No, I didn't. The girl smiled in relief. She rushed inside and hugged the alien widow's thin arm. The widow stiffened at first, then slowly placed her hand on the girl's shoulder. The father watched, torn between fear and something deeper. He saw his daughter's innocence, her courage, her ability to see past hate. That night he could not sleep. He lay awake staring at the ceiling, hearing his daughter's words. Was that a lie? Hearing the widow's whisper, I want to live. He realized he stood at a crossroad. One path was duty to the colony, to report, to protect his people by removing the danger. The other path was compassion, to trust his daughter's heart, to risk everything for a widow who might be more human than alien in her suffering. His fists tightened, his mind heavy. He was a father, a protector, but now he did not know whom to protect more, his daughter's innocence or the safety of his people. And deep in his heart a question burned, one he could not silence. What if the child was right? The days passed heavy. The father tried to ignore the shadow in the broken shed, but his daughter would not let him. Each evening she begged, each evening she whispered, Please, Daddy, don't tell, please let her live. The father's heart stayed torn. His mind said danger, but his eyes remembered the tears of the widow. His ears remembered her weak, broken words. I want to live. The colony was restless too. Soldiers searched more often. They said spies could be near. The father felt fear grow. Any mistake could destroy his family. One evening he returned from work early. He found his daughter already slipping food out of the door. He followed quietly, his steps soft, and he entered the shed behind her. The widow sat against the wall, her face pale, her hands shaking. The little girl pressed an apple into her hands, whispering, Eat. You need strength. The father stood watching, his chest heavy. He wanted to stop it, but then his daughter turned, her eyes bright, her smile soft, and she said words that froze him where he stood. Daddy, why can't she stay with us? She is alone. You are alone. Why don't you marry her? Then she will not be hungry anymore. The silence in the shed cracked like thunder. The widow's eyes widened, her thin body stiff. She could not believe what she heard. The father's face burned, his jaw clenched. What did you say? His voice low, shaking. The girl repeated softly, as if it was the most natural thing. Marry her, then she can be my mom. She will not be lonely. You will not be lonely. I will not be lonely. The widow trembled, her hands holding the apple like it was fire. She wanted to speak, to protest, but no words came. The father took a sharp breath, anger and fear rising. Do you even know what you are saying? She is an alien. She is the enemy. The colony will never allow this. The girl's eyes filled with tears, but her voice did not break. Colony does not see what I see. They do not know her like I do. They do not know her heart. The widow closed her eyes, shame and hope mixing inside her chest. No one had spoken for her like this before. No one had believed she had a heart. The father stepped closer, his face shadowed, his voice rough. Child, you don't understand. This is not a game. It is dangerous. But the girl wiped her tears quickly and whispered back, No, Daddy, you don't understand. She saved me too. The father froze, his eyes sharp. What do you mean, saved you? The girl nodded fast. Last night soldiers passed by. They almost saw me, but she pulled me down. She hid me. She kept me safe. If she was bad, she could have let them take me, but she didn't. The father turned to the widow, his eyes narrowing. The widow's face showed no lie. She looked at him with tired honesty. She had risked herself for his daughter. The father's heart pounded harder. The shed felt smaller, the air heavier. He wanted to deny it, but truth pressed on him. Suddenly, footsteps echoed outside, soldiers again. Closer this time, voices calling. Check the old shed, sweep the area. The widow's eyes widened. The girl gasped. The father cursed under his breath. He pushed them both deeper into the shadows. His arm tense, his eyes locked on the door. Torches flashed, boots stomped, hands rattled the door. The girl squeezed the widow's hand. The widow held her breath. The father stepped forward, his voice hard. "This shed is empty. I checked it myself earlier. No need to waste time here." The soldier outside grunted. "You sure?" "Yes." "Nothing here but dust and rats," the father growled, his tone steady. After a tense pause, the footsteps moved away. The torches dimmed. Silence returned. The widow slumped against the wall, her chest rising fast, her eyes wet. The girl hugged her tightly, whispering, "See, Daddy, she is family now. She belongs with us." The father stood frozen, sweat on his brow. He had just lied to protect her, his own people, his own soldiers. He had betrayed them to shield her. He looked at his daughter, her innocent faith shining. He looked at the widow, her silent gratitude burning in her eyes. And he knew something had already changed. The line between enemy and family was breaking, and it was his daughter who had broken it with one impossible innocent proposal. The father could not sleep that night. His daughter's words echoed in his mind. "Marry her, then she can be my mom." He thought it was childish, impossible. But the more he tried to forget, the more the words grew heavy. He had already lied. To the soldiers, he had already protected the widow. His steps had already crossed the line. He sat in the dark, his hands gripping the table, his heart torn, but deep inside he knew the truth. The choice had already been made. The next morning, the colony was restless. Soldiers spread rumors, whispers of spies hiding near the border, food stores checked, doors locked. The father walked through the market with his daughter's hand in his eyes scanning every soldier's face, fear rising. In the broken shed, the widow sat waiting. She knew danger was closing. She could feel it in the air. She wanted to run, but her heart was heavy. Her mind whispered of the girl's kindness, the father's protection. Leaving now would mean betraying the only hope she had found. That evening, the father returned, his jaw tight, his daughter by his side. He looked at the widow, his voice steady but low. "They are searching harder. If they find you, they will kill you. If they know I hid you, they will kill me too." The widow lowered, her head whispering, "Then I must leave," but the girl cried out, "No, don't leave, you are my mom now." Her little arms wrapped around the widow. The alien froze. Then slowly, painfully, she returned the embrace. The father's chest tightened. He saw it, the bond stronger than law, stronger than hate. Suddenly, shouts echoed outside, soldiers' voices closer than ever. "Search every shed, search every corner." The father's blood ran cold. He grabbed the widow's arm, pulled her and his daughter through the back of the shed. The three ran into the forest shadows, their breaths fast, their hearts pounding, torches lit behind them. Soldiers shouting, dogs barking. The chase had begun. They ran through trees, the widow stumbling, weak but still moving. The father holding her up with one hand, his daughter clinging to the other. The soldiers spread, closing in. The father knew they could not outrun forever. He turned to the widow, his voice sharp. "Can you fight?" The widow's eyes flared. "I am weak, but I can still fight." The father pulled a small knife from his belt, handed it to her. She gripped it with trembling hands, her alien eyes glowing faintly in the moonlight. The first soldier appeared, shouting, raising his weapon. The widow moved faster than expected, her blade flashing. The soldier fell. The girl gasped, clutching her father's arm. The father grabbed the soldier's dropped weapon, his eyes fierce now. He fired warning shots into the trees. The soldiers ducked. The chase paused. The widow breathed heavy, but for the first time strength burned in her veins. She had defended not herself, but them, her new family. The father turned to her, his voice rough but certain. "We are in this together now. There is no going back." The girl whispered through tears, "We are a family. Please don't let them take us." The widow and the father locked eyes, enemy and enemy no more, bound by survival, bound by the child's innocent truth. Together they moved deeper into the forest, the soldiers still following, but slower, wary now, whispers spreading among them. "The human protects her. Why does he fight with her?" The chase stretched long into the night, until finally the three reached the old ruins near the river, a place abandoned by humans. a place forgotten. Here they hid. Here they caught their breath. The father leaned against the wall, his chest heaving. He looked at the widow and said, "From this day, you are not alone. You are with us." The widow lowered her head, tears falling. But this time they were not only of sorrow, they were of belonging. The girl smiled through her fear. She held both their hands together, whispering, "See, I was right. Now we are not lonely anymore." Outside, the galaxy still raged with war. Humans and aliens still hated, armies still fought. But in that small ruined place, one man, one child, and one widow had built something stronger than walls. A family, and families, no matter how small, can defy empires, can stand against galaxies. The story of one alien widow, one human father, and one brave little girl was only beginning, but already it had shaken the stars.